All right, here in Brisbane, Lewis Crocker, Liam Paro, Danny Green, mates. Firstly, what can you tell us, mate? You're on a main event Fox Sports broadcast. Any news on your end?
Oh, it's good to be here, mate. Good to be part of the broadcast. Been a long time since I've been on a main event broadcast. So I'm really excited to be back home and back to where my old home was, back to where I had so many exciting moments in my life, not just my career, in my life. So it's fantastic to be on, and then to be able to call other people, other young bucks, having the time and the moments, and making moments in their life. It's magic. It's great to be back. So I'm looking forward to the broadcast, but looking forward to being part of this event. It's a great fight. Young Liam Paro is a jet. He's a fantastic fighter, but a good guy. Everyone likes him. He's got that persona where he's just a likeable young bloke, and everyone likes him. And it's for me. I look at him. I told him many years ago. I have not much to do with him because of different parts of the world we live in. But I remember telling him, mate, smell the roses. Make sure you smell the roses on the way through. Enjoy what you're doing as well. We work so hard. We take so much punishment. We go through so much physical and mental, duress to get to where we get to in the fights. Make sure you enjoy the moments. And I think he's doing that. He's enjoying this. He's cool. He's calm. I said to him just before, I said, mate, we're here for you. This is all about you. You're the man. This is your moment, mate. It's your time to shine. So I'm happy for the bloke, mate. He deserves it. He's worked his ass off, and he's in a position where he's going to, potentially change his life forever.
You've had a chance to, I guess, take a good look at Lewis Crocker. How does he match up against Liam? He's big, Lewis Crocker. That's what I sort of saw tonight.
He's a natural welterweight, whereas Liam's coming up. But Liam's had more time to feel into his body this time. He's had quite a lot of time. So, he's going to be a lot more comfortable at that weight division as opposed to his last fight where he only had, not long to prepare at that higher weight division. Crocker's a big guy for the weight. You can see, looking at him, he's taller. He looks physically thicker and a little bit more imposing just size-wise. I think Liam's got the edge in IQ and speed and boxing ability. Crocker's going to have to try and impose his will and his strength and that left hook. He's going to have to land that early to be victorious. Otherwise, I think Liam's going to have a field day. I think he could have a field day if he's on, and I think he's going to be on. I think he actually could do it, not easy, but I think he could do it how he wants to, how he envisages winning a world title, just picking him off and outboxing him. But that comes down to what happens when the bell goes. Like, anything can happen on the night, but I just think that Liam Paro's got the edge in IQ and speed and boxing ability.
What about that home advantage, Danny? How much will that sort of edge towards Liam? He's had to travel overseas for that Matthias fight and the Hitchens fight. Fighting here in Brisbane, will that be an advantage for Liam Paro on Wednesday night?
Absolutely. I've fought overseas. My first 2 world title fights. I had to go over there in Germany, and then Montreal in Canada. And so, you win titles, you lose titles overseas, but when you win them overseas, it's even more thrilling, which he's done. And he's also, lost one as well. So he knows how it feels. He knows how it feels to win and lose. So having a world title opportunity here in Australia, he deserves it. He's gone overseas. He's been on the road, and that's important, I think, for a fighter to win overseas and go out on the road and take these big fights. You got to get out of your comfort zone, and he's done it. And so now he deserves this. This is his time, and for No Limit to bring a big show for him, win the purse bid, and put their hand in their pockets and bring it down here and give him the opportunity to win it in front of his hometown fans. I'm just really excited for the young kid, mate. He deserves it, and I just hope he can fulfil his destiny, mate.
Mate, a massive fight coming up here in Australia. Tszyu-Spence as well. Any thoughts on that fight, Danny? How do you see that one play out?
It's interesting because of Errol Spence's inactivity. Fantastic fighter, phenomenal fighter, and again, having these big fights come to Australia is magic. Having the big names come down under and fight, and Errol Spence is a well-known guy, a big name fighter, but he unfortunately lost his last fight to Bud and then was inactive for 3 years. That will be the telling factor. It can freshen some guys up, but it can also, it can it can put a lot of corrosion around the hinges. So, time will tell what kind of Errol Spence comes here. If the junkyard dog Errol Spence comes here that hasn't been affected by that layoff, wow, it's going to be very interesting. If a guy that comes here, and Tim as well, Tim's coming off some big losses, and then those 2 fights. I reckon Tim should have put the pedal down in those 2 fights. I believe Tim should have put the pedal down, and he could have put the pedal down. I think he could have finished those blokes. I just think as a fighter, for his confidence, I think they would have done a lot for his own confidence. So now I think that if he puts the pedal down early in this fight, I think he can make. I've had a layoff. I've had a 2.5 year layoff, and then came back as an older guy. I was much older, but I came back and fought a younger guy, 10 years younger, strong, hungry young buck who just fought for the title. And it was, I was hesitant. So I know what it's like to be in Errol Spence's shoes to a degree. So I was hesitant. I just wanted to feel my way in there, and I didn't want to take too many risks too early. So I think Tim has to jump on that. If Tim jumps on him early, I think he can really, really get inside Errol's head and really, he might be able to make him clam up and shell up a little bit, because he hasn't had that for a while, Errol Spence Jr., if he puts that immense pressure on, which Tim can do. So we'll see. It's interesting. Big fight.
What do you make of these past couple of months? Tszyu teaming up with Jai Fenech and, moving on from Pedro Diaz. How do you see that dynamic play out, Jai Fenech, Tszyu?
It's interesting. It was an interesting move in the first place. Then going to Pedro, choosing Pedro was, I'm not too sure, how he made those decisions. And good luck to Tim. That's his choice. That's his prerogative. That's his life. Fantastic training Pedro, and then won a couple of fights, and then changes up again. And so look, he's obviously got his reasons why. And then teaming with Jeff. Look, it could. Who knows how it'll go down? I think it might. It could work in his favour as far as Jeff being able to be a motivating factor in Tim's life, in his boxing. Being able to get him to. If you're a fighter and you are physically really, really fit, and you've done all the homework and you've done the hard work and you've ticked all the boxes fundamentally in your training camp, but your mind and your mental approach isn't one of, I'm going to go out there and fucking eat this guy up. That can affect the fighter, and it can be a detrimental, aspect. And that's where Jeff may be able to come in. I think he could be able to come in and have Tim kind of like a bull at a gate, wanting to jump out of the gates and fucking get into it. That's where I think Jeff could have some positive influence on him.
Couple more for you, man. Nikita Tszyu, I know you're a fan of Nikita Tszyu. What'd you make of his last performance, and he had that Zarafa fight as well? Any thoughts on how that went down, and where do you see Nikita going in the next 12 months or so?
The Zarafa one's history, and the last performance, Nikita's, he put in a solid performance. And lets his shots go, and it was. I think he looked to box a bit more. Looked to kind of pick his shots a bit more, and wasn't as loose and wild as he normally is, which we all love. But he had moments. But I just think he was happy to get the victory and just get the runs on the board. And I think he had a few issues with his hand leading into it, so there could have been a bit of hesitation around that. But he's exciting. He's like his brother. He's got that exciting style that you want to watch, and look forward to his next move.
Jai Opetaia, there's a lot of talk about David Benavidez, and if they can make that fight work with Zuffa and such. If that fight was to play out, how would you see Benavidez Opetaia?
I'd want to be ringside for it. It's a cracker. I was lucky enough. I took my son Archie to the Benavidez Ramirez fight in Las Vegas. I promised my son, I said, mate, you get to the age of 18, you haven't touched a drink or a drug, mate, we'll go to Vegas for a big fight. He got there, did that, so that was a special moment for us to be there ringside. And Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC president, looked after us with some magic seats, and we're sitting next to Tommy Hearns. It was like a dream, and my boy Archie and I got to train at Top Rank. The fellas, Frank Stay and the boys at Top Rank looked after us. My old trainer Salas trained at his gym, and then to watch Benavidez just destroy Ramirez was quite insane. just took him apart. It was just explosiveness at its best. So if Jai and David Benavidez do square off, man, that's a real fan favourite fight. If you love boxing, that's the one that I really want to see as well. That's a cracker. And Jai's got immense boxing ability as well, not just that power and strength and imposing kind of nature that he's nasty. He's a nasty motherfucker in there. But so is David Benavidez. Benavidez is a beast. He's the Mexican monster for a reason. And he's an animal. So when you get like having two pit bulls and just letting the leash go, letting them off the lead, that's what it's going to be like. That's mad.
Just one more I'd like to ask, Australian boxing legends like yourself, your best performance in your career and also any regrets in your career?
Oh, look, mate, I reckon every person in the world, whether you're a fighter or an athlete or, just doing your thing, I'm a normal guy, so just a person who's going about their everyday life like I do, yeah, we all have regrets. I definitely changed things. I do some things different, 100%. But because that comes with time. It's called wisdom, and you need time for wisdom to gain wisdom. But man, like I fought for the world title in the WBC super middleweight world title, my 17th fight. I'd been professional for 2 years and 2 months. I had 16 fights, and went over there against the 2-time champ Bayer and destroyed him. And then he retired, and I got the title in my next fight against Eric Luca, who was a former champ. So I think, and I was only in my 18th fight. So that, those moments and then other moments, like I was blessed, mate. I could still, I'm thankful I can still talk about them and remember them, and because boxing can be a brutal sport and a tough sport. And so, and then Roy Jones Jr. was a pinch me moment. And then the fight I lost for the cruiserweight title against Vodacek, although I was unsuccessful in that fight, I wasn't supposed to last past 3 rounds, and I was dominating until I got took out with only 20 seconds to go in the second last round. would have been victorious. It would have been a fairy tale moment for me. So a lot of fights I had, man, I love and I enjoy, and some mad moments, and to know that I'm going to go to my grave and having the biggest fight in Australian boxing history, the most watched fight of all time as far as the numbers go, it's a mad moment. Yeah.
Pretty happy. All right, mate. Appreciate your time, legend.
Mate, thanks, Samuel.